Well, if you're looking at this document, you're thinking about assigning some writing for your students. But maybe you're daunted by the amount of grading that you see all your English teacher neighbors doing. We tend to complain loudly and often about all of our grading, and I think maybe it scared some of you off when it comes to assigning papers or anything that's written that might require some grading. So what I hope to do today is kind of dispel the myth. Like a good magician, we're not supposed to tell our secrets, but I'm going to. Today I'm going to break rank and I'm going to tell you how the English teachers survive and give you a bunch of our dirty little secrets for grading so that you too can grade an essay in less than 10 minutes. Maybe even if it's a problem, it'll take you even less than that. I literally set a timer for each essay that I'm grading. My AP essays do take me about 25 to 30 minutes to go through them. Those kids can write some long papers, so it takes a lot of time for me to go through and evaluate their argument. My CP papers take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes each. It need not take you that long to grade each and every paper. I believe you can do it under 5 minutes if you have a really well-constructed rubric that hems you into each category and makes sure that each and every assessment of each and every section is tight and well-defined. That is the key to grading quickly, well-defined parameters for each area that you're looking at. So what I do is I literally create a rubric, copy and paste, and put it on the bottom of each student essay in Google Docs. That way they have their own unique comments. As I'm reading the essay, I go through and I highlight each of the different areas where I think the evaluation falls. The tighter these different areas, the better and easier grading will be. So what I've got down the left side of my rubric, their ideas, obviously that's the most important thing. What do they have to say? How do they say it? Do they answer your question? Sometimes I include the thesis in that area. Sometimes I don't. It really depends. I do like to multiply it by a coefficient of 2. That way the idea is the most important thing. Do you communicate anything of relevance? Gets the highest score. If I choose to grade the thesis separately, then I have that one times 1 and the thesis is times 1. This rubric is designed to be 50 points, so there are 5 categories. The third category I look at is organization. We do like to have our students organize their thoughts. This organization section may look very different if it's a lab report or a specific math problem you're trying to have the students look at, evaluate, and write about. This is up to you. You can change it and make it how you need it to look for the assignment that you've given. Sentence fluency. Are they writing like they're writing a text message? Are they communicating with their friends? Or are they communicating academically? We like to see that they're communicating in an academic way. They do too much texting as it is. Finally, we look at grammar. You don't have to look at grammar. We like you to, because that way we at least instill the importance of writing well across the curriculum. Any one of these 5 areas could be swapped out for something else. Maybe you've decided that you want to include an infographic as part of this writing assignment. Well, you could swap out sentence fluency for the infographic, or maybe you want to include some numerical data. Put that in as one of the areas and drop out something else, and then you've still got a 50-point rubric. Sometimes I'll multiply my rubric by 2 to make it a 100-point score if the assignment's big and long enough. That's entirely up to you. So this entire form chart goes on the bottom of their paper. Sometimes I'll even put a comment on their paper or on the sides of this rubric to further explain what I'm talking about. That's quite simple. Anything that you've highlighted on the document, you can hit Control-Alt-M and a comment box will pop up. Or you can go over here, click on Insert, and a comment box will pop up. It's that simple. Nothing to it. So I like to leave lots of comments. Sometimes I'll even put funny little asides in each of these parameters to entertain, possibly take the sting out of some criticism that I've given the student over their writing. They enjoy that. They always look for the little comments that I make. It's a source of pride that Bird left a funny comment on their paper. The other thing that I do that makes my grading quick and easy is most of my comments that I put on a student's paper appear original, but they're not. They're canned. I'm literally cutting and pasting from another document, which I put on the bottom of this one, cutting and pasting comments into the comment boxes or on their essay directly. And some of those are even hyperlinks, so I can take a student to an exact picture of what I want their document to look like. For example, if they have a problem with MLA heading, I would literally put this particular link in a comment box and it shows them exactly what to do to make sure their paper has that format that I'm looking for. Another thing I like, sometimes I like to make sure they include transition words. So I'll give them a list. This is nothing more than a picture, a Google image that I've hyperlinked into their essay. And I keep all of those logged on a sheet of their most common mistakes. This is a listing of things that I might use for a CP essay. Not necessarily what I would use for an AP essay, but a CP essay. That way, these are the things that I see over and over again, and there's just no point in reinventing the wheel every time you grade an essay. Work smarter, not harder, is what I always tell my students. You do the same. One thing I also do, if a student has written so poorly that I can barely make it through the essay and I find that I'm spending more time than they did on that particular document, I will put SGH on their essay. And my students know that's the kiss of death. That means I gave up. Their essay was so bad that I've stopped grading here. They have to resubmit the essay with a deduction in a format that's acceptable, in a final draft form. I give them another go at it, not for full credit, but I do make them redo it in a manner that's worthy of something other than the trash can, and they know that. So SGH is a good thing. If you find yourself spending too much time on an essay, bail and let them redo it. Sometimes students have a hard time understanding how a quote should look in their document, so here's a sandwich for your visual learner. If that doesn't work, I will deliberately show them how I would put the quote in the essay. Organization. Many times your students, this is not just the 5-paragraph essay organization we're talking about here. Sometimes they'll have intellectual leaps in logic. They'll draw conclusions and then be upset that they don't like your artwork. So what I do is I make a comment about how they've jumped from one idea to another without accurately leading the reader through their points of the argument. So I'll stick that on there. Like I said, if you allow the reader to draw their own conclusions, the writer may not like the conclusions that they've drawn. So I make a note of that. This is a wonderful site here. It's a grammar site. This is the main website. That's the link to that. You can literally turn the pages and find any grammatical mistake that a student might make. It even talks about essay organization and development. You could simply highlight those things and make them hyperlinks in your comment boxes. I see a lot of comma splice trouble. I see subject-verb agreement problems, and I see issues with parallel structure. So what I do is within that online writing lab, I've got a direct link to their problem. One thing that's important, if we empower our students to find and do some of their own learning on their own, it's like giving a man the ability to fish. They'll never go hungry. So that's kind of what I like to do with my students, give them the opportunity to educate themselves. And you'll notice on these particular links, they give a pretest, a lesson, some sources, a quiz, skills and context, and an exit assignment. So empower the students to do some learning on their own. We don't have to tell them everything. They can go out there and find it as well. I hope this helps you. If you want some more of our dirty little secrets that make grading easier, please come by. I'm in room 113. I'll be glad to help. Or if you want me to help you create a rubric that's more specific to the assignment you have in mind. I've helped several of you do that. I'm always willing to help. Have a great day.